Hey guys, it's Amber here, and today I'm back again with another manga haul. um, this is for kind of the first portion of March. The first kind of half of March has been a little bit slow for me, but nonetheless, I've got some really great deals, so it kind of makes up for it. Um, so without further ado, we'll just jump right into it. So I figured the first thing to start off with is kind of newer releases that I picked up before this video came out. So the first one I have, and they're both Viz releases. The first one I have is Volume 4 of Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone, it's really has a lot of science and stuff. It's one of these ones that I keep going back and forth. I'm not 100% in love with the story, not because it's bad, but it's just like not necessarily a story that I would really, really enjoy. And I don't know if that's just because I'm not that big into science, but the artwork's really good. So I keep getting it, but I don't know if that will change, especially if the anime that's coming out ends up being really good. Then I might not feel the need to keep picking them up and just kind of watch the anime. But artwork's always really good with this one. I have yet to actually read it. I have read the third volume, but have yet to get or start this one. It's definitely not on my top priority, so I'll probably sit around for a little bit before I actually get to it. So that's that one. So next is the second volume of a newer series that's being released. So I have volume 2, and I'll say the name wrong of the series because I always do, of Kukurio, Bed and Breakfast for Spirits. Actually, I wasn't going to start collecting this one. I watched the anime kind of halfway through, and the anime wasn't bad, but it wasn't like top. Like, I always consider anime good if it keeps me kind of paying attention for all of the episodes, really. This one kind of lost me halfway. But actually, I've enjoyed the manga so much more than the anime, which there's some series that I prefer the anime much more than the manga. And this one is definitely more of I prefer the manga versus the anime. The artwork is just I feel like it's much better in the manga than the anime. Some scenes have a better kind of feel to them. So, and the cooking isn't, they still do all the cooking, but sometimes I find, I don't know, it's hard to explain why I just could not really, really get into that show. And I've already said this before, my favorite character is the Odana. He's my favorite one, and I know that soon will be kind of entering, if they follow the anime, which I'm assuming the anime was pretty close to the manga, because I know this comes from a light novel, actually. So, if that's the case, and if it follows the anime, then soon they'll be starting to do the love triangle stuff. So I'm not looking forward to that, but it's fine. So moving on, we'll go to more kind of my random deals this month, where I kind of picked up volumes of things that were pretty cheap, and there were ones that I've been looking at possibly getting this series, just didn't want to necessarily spend the money. And, if you know where to look, you can find some really great deals. Typically, I don't buy off of, eBay and stuff, but if there's a good deal, I usually break down. And so this one, I think each volume I got after this point, I only spent $2 on. So very cheap. They're not in the best condition, and when I say best condition, majority of them just have yellowing on the pages, so not a big deal for me. I don't necessarily like yellowing, but then I also understand that really you're buying it since the fact is they are cheaper, so something's got to be, you can't typically buy like brand new, everything perfect manga for $2. So the first volume I have is volume 1 of The Devil is a Part-Timer. If you've watched like my collection video, you'll know that I have the first 4 of the light novel. When I was going to get them, I actually meant to pick up the manga, but this was like right when I first started collecting stuff, so I had no really idea about the difference, so I ended up picking the light novel. So I haven't really read the light novel. I've read maybe half of the first one, but I don't have 2. And then I watched the anime for this one. I'm really surprised this hasn't got a second season, but it's funny. I mean, I enjoyed it. So artwork's good. It's a little bit different than the anime and stuff, but I don't know if that's just because you're kind of more following the light novel style of artwork. I don't know. But yeah, for $2 versus when this would usually be released, because it's a Young Press release, it's usually $13, and all it has is, I'm trying to see, some yellowing. It's not a big deal to me. I mean, this is really just to see if I wanted to collect the manga in the end, so there's that one. So the next one is another kind of single volume. I'm not going to go into like the more series type one until a little bit later. This is also another one that I kind of really got lucky with on the deal. And yeah, so I have volume 1 of Carnival. So this is one I've been seeing, kind of wanted to pick up. It's just the volumes are really expensive. So I kept trying to wait and see if I could find some cheaper ones. And so I at least found the first volume so I can read through it and see what I think. Same thing with Devil is a Part-Timer. Majority of the problems is that it's just yellow, the pages, which I don't really care for. Like, I'm fine with yellow. I mean, sometimes when I pick up new releases, they already have some yellowing. Or if I order stuff from Right Stuff, sometimes they'll have yellow. So, I mean, there's not much you can do. So, I don't really know too much about this. Yeah, it's kind of a don't really know anything. But somebody I follow always is posting things about it, and so I figured I'll just get it, especially if it's $2. The original price on this one is typically $20. So just the same thing, some yellowing. It's a really good bargain to only pay $2 for a $20 manga. So moving on to kind of the later stuff that I got, or the last portion of this haul. These are, well, I have 5 of them, but I doubt I'll be able to fit majority of them in the frame because they are bigger books. So I have volume 1, 2, then I have 3 and 4. And then I have volume 5 of the Bride of the Water God. So this is actually, I cannot from the top of my head even come up with a word. I want to say manhwa. Yeah, I want to say it's called a manhwa, but it comes from Korea actually. Yeah, it's manhwa. I might be saying that wrong, but so this comes from Korea. I read the first couple volumes online and then kind of dropped it. I tend to read a lot more webcomics online, but manga is like one of those things that I really don't like to read online unless it's like a release that's in Japanese and probably, or Korean or whatever, probably will never come over and get translated. So this one I read first, like, I want to say 5 volumes. And then kind of dropped it. I think the thing with this one is I don't think they have, or Dark Horse is the publisher if I'm not mistaken, yes. So they didn't publish the entirety of the series. So I want to say they did up to like, I'm not 100% certain, but I want to say they did up to like 12 or 13. And I think the series goes up to 18, not 100%. I'm just guessing because I feel like I've seen that somewhere. So the whole series isn't in print, and I haven't been able to necessarily find the volumes. Like, I went to check on Right Stuff, they're not there. I think the only place I found them possibly is Barnes & Noble, but I'm not 100% certain on that. And usually if I try and find them on, like, eBay, it's pretty expensive. I mean, they put the price up on these things. So I'm kind of just looking and trying to see what I can find out there. And I will say, so the whole thing is about someone basically being, I'm not going to go too much into it because then it gets a little spoilery, but about this girl being sacrificed to be the water god's bride is basically the premise. Except it's this whole, it kind of has reincarnation type themes, I believe. Definitely romance. My biggest problem with the story is I'll show you stuff from the first one. So, I always have to remember they read it this way. So, it's got pretty good artwork. See? Especially with their backgrounds and stuff. But I tend to not... I feel like the artwork is really nice, and I'm trying to find if I can find some more, especially with the backgrounds. It's just the expressions kind of fall really flat. At least for me, they do. I mean, like, half the time I don't... I don't... Like, something bad will happen, and it's just kind of this expression that doesn't really correlate with the scene very well, or I can't even tell who's happy, who's mad. I mean, it's just so... so the expressions are definitely, I feel like, the downfall of this series, at least in the earlier ones. Maybe they get better. I haven't read all of them. Of the ones I've got up to 4, I've started reading, and then I'll just kind of slowly try and find them, collect them. It's not top priority. It's more kind of like a guilty pleasure type of thing, but it's not even bad. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. But so same thing here. I got these things for $2 each. Typically they'd be for sale at, I'm trying to find it. Okay, it changes per volume. Interesting. So like $9.95 is what it would typically be. But then when I try and find it now, sometimes I've seen them, like, I think I saw them on Barnes & Noble and like 13, 15, don't hold me on that. But yeah, they're not top priority. It's just something that I saw and was like, oh, well, I want to read this, but I don't want to necessarily have to also pay the super expensive prices on eBay, so I'll pick them up. This series has a little bit more damage than some of the other ones. If, like, I want to say the third one. Same thing, yellowing of the pages mainly, and then, if I'm not mistaken, the third volume. Oh. One of these volumes. I'm trying to remember when I read it. This volume, I mean, just like the split down the middle, but, yeah. So, not too big of a deal. So, this was the pickup for the first kind of portion of March. A lot of the series that I follow didn't really come out with too much in the first, 2 weeks. But if I'm not mistaken, kind of later on in March, some of the series I follow released some more. So I'll definitely pick up those. And I did order some books elsewhere, so they'll be coming in. So I'll definitely have stuff to do a manga haul later or another manga haul. It's just, it doesn't seem like March is too busy. So I might, for the kind of remaining half of March, play a little bit more pickup. I have some series I definitely would like to kind of finish or get back onto English release, like Attack on Titan. I started reading that again, so definitely want to pick up the remaining of that before the new season, because I have up to 17, and I've basically read, I think I read 6 to 13 in like 2 days. So getting up to 17 is not going to be that big of a deal. And so there's in like Spice and Wolf, I really want to start working on trying to collect the majority of that series. I'm up to either 4 or 5 on that. So things like that, I think probably the rest of this month I'll probably put my attention more onto, kind of, so that way I don't have to play so much pickup. One day I'll start trying to collect the majority of Rosario Vampire, but that's not right now. I always look over and I always see it. I'm like, I need to finish collecting it because I watched the anime, probably not it's not the best thing in the world, and then I kept hearing how good the manga was. So I have majority of season 2, and then I only have like the first couple volumes of season 1. So I really need to get the rest of season 1 so then I can start reading season 2, because I've been told that season 2 is really good and the artwork is much better. So, but yeah, that's the haul for this month. If you enjoyed, give it a like and a thumb or subscribe, whatever. And thank you guys so much. I never would have thought that I would almost have 100 subscribers. That's kind of weird to me, but yeah, thank you so much for that. Like I've said before, I thought it would just be me talking to myself kind of, but it means a lot to see that so many people at least enjoy to hear me ramble on about books. And yes, I will start doing reviews. It's just trying to figure out what series to review that I have and which ones I'm kind of caught up to, since some of the ones I want to review are a bit of a ongoing ones, so it'd be kind of difficult to review those, but I'll figure it out. So thank you, and then I will see you next next video. Rambling.